Hi, sixth graders. We're going to quickly review some place value and rounding information for whole numbers. So today you shouldn't have to worry about any decimals or fractions. The first thing you need to do is remind yourself of all of the place value spots in a number. So for example, right here, all the way to the right in a number without a decimal is called the ones place. We then have the tens place, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s, the 100,000s, the millions, the 10 millions, and the 100 millions place. And so it's really important to know that in each place there's a digit. That's the number that you see with your eyes, but each one of those digits in that spot has a particular place value or amount that it's worth. So for example, let's start in the ones place. I see a digit of 8, and that 8 is worth an 8 because it's in the ones place. Next to it, we have a 9. But that 9 is not actually worth 9. Since it's in the tens place, it's actually worth 90. So we would say that the place value of this 9 is actually 90. We're going to do this for some more. We have a 1 in the hundreds place, but the place value or the worth of that, that's worth 100. I could do this for all of the rest of the number, and I'll do it really quickly just so that you can see. This 3 is really worth 3,000. And a great way to think of that is I take the 3 and everything after it would turn into a 0 because I don't care about those places when I'm only looking at the 3. The 4 is really worth 40,000. The 6 is worth 600,000. And I could keep doing this for the rest of the number, but for now I'll just say it. The 7 is worth 7 million, the 2 is worth 20 million, and the 9 is worth 900 million. So there's a quick refresher about place value in whole numbers. The other thing I'd like to go over today is how to round in specific numbers. And you needed to refresh on the place values so that you're rounding to the correct place. So here's a number. It is 325,923. Now, if I wanted to round that to the nearest tens, hundreds, or thousands, it'd look a little different each time. So I'm going to show you how to round this number in 3 different ways. And I could choose other ways, but for this example, I just chose 3 place values. Okay, so here's my number, and if I want to round it to the nearest tens, I like to always underline that digit. I just find it helpful for my brain. So if I want to round this to the nearest 10, I'm always going to look at the neighbor. So I'm going to look at the neighbor to the right. I'm going to look at the ones place. And that ones place is going to tell me if I'm going to round up to the next 10 or keep it down at the 10 that I'm at. So this 3, because it is below a 5, it always tells me to round down. And so this is telling me that I can stay down at the 2 in the tens place. So that means everything before that I'm going to keep. I still have 3 in the 100,000s place, and then I have a 2 and a 5. I have a 9, and I'm going to stay down at the 2 because the neighbor 3 told me stay down. I'm going to keep it down at a 20. I did not round up to 325,930 because that 3 told me to stay down at the 20 because 23 is pretty close to a 20. Let's do the same thing but with the hundreds. Okay, so I'm going to swap colors here, and I'm going to underline the hundreds place, and I'm going to look at the neighbor. So that 2, once again, tells me that I can round down because 923 is really close to being rounded down to a 900. It's not very close to going up to the next 100. So I'm going to keep everything in the front, 325,000. I'm going to keep that as a 9 for 900, and everything else becomes a 0 because I rounded. So my answer was 325,900. And last but not least, I want to try rounding this number to the thousands place. Okay. And in this case, I'm going to look at the 5 in the thousands place and look at the neighboring 9. Now that 9 is really a big number. It's 5 or more, so it's going to tell me to round up to the next 1,000. So I'm not going to keep this down at the 5,000. That 9 is saying I'm really, really close to being 6,000. So I'm going to keep my 320 But this 5 is going to round up to a 6. 6,000, and everything else became zeros because I rounded. So my answer rounded to the thousands place is 326,000, which should also make sense to my brain. Having 923 is almost like having another 1,000. It's really close. So I can round this up when I'm estimating to 326,000. Hopefully those reminders were helpful. Please make sure that you try your best on today's assignment and reach out to me if you have any questions.